The Enterprise, Captain Kirk, live long and prosper. The iconography of Star Trek in popular culture is supported by several well-known characters and phrases, sometimes phrases not actually said in any series. Even those who do not watch Star Trek know Mr. Spock is a Vulcan, Klingons are the bad guys, except when they're not, and that Starfleet will boldly go where no man or no one has gone before. Oh, and that the best villain in Star Trek is Khan. After all, as we recall through pop culture osmosis, Kirk screams Khan's name, a scene parodied elsewhere in popular culture. Khan must be the best villain, or else why would Captain Kirk be so darn upset? Khan! However, name recognition and cultural impact notwithstanding, the augmented, genetically enhanced Khan Noonien Singh only appears in one episode of one series of Star Trek, Space Seed, and then returns in the film Star Trek II to exact some kind of wrath of himself. Khan was introduced to Star Trek as a cautionary tale about eugenics, and he made for a fine adversary for that one episode. Star Trek II is one of the franchise's better film entries, but Khan himself in the film is more of an instrument of revenge against Captain Kirk, the post-World War II politics and foreboding social message of the character discarded to make room for the action-packed, high-stakes, singularly focused space adventure. Are you sure it's Khan you love or the movie? His distant relative, La'an Noonien Singh, gets more character development and depth in half a season of Strange New Worlds. Yet, the cultural impact of the Khan name, more than the character, keeps him fresh in the minds of Star Trek fans. The name is what counts. In Star Trek Into Darkness, when Benedict Cumberbatch reveals that his name is Khan, the camera gets in real tight for a tilted close-up, as if saying he is Khan is enough to shock the world. In Star Trek Picard, a character holding a document with the name Khan on it was enough to be considered a huge reveal. The name made an impact more than the character. The notion that Khan is Star Trek's greatest villain runs through an impossible perpetual motion machine of popular culture discourse. Khan is the greatest villain in Star Trek because people say that Khan is the greatest villain in Star Trek. He's not a bad villain. Space Seed is a pretty solid episode, actually, but I can think of 10 better Star Trek villains off the top of my head, and most of them are from Deep Space Nine. This is mostly due to DS9's larger cast of recurring supporting characters and serialized storytelling compared to, say, The Next Generation. Gul Dukat is a far more layered and fascinating monster, and his Cardassian supremacist politics and personality do more with that particular concept than Khan ever did. Even Weyoun gets more character development than Khan, and he's just a basket of clones. There is one Star Trek antagonist that never seems to get her due with a portion of Star Trek fans. A character of subterfuge, conspiratorial maneuvering, ambitious, insincere motivations mixed with sincere faith. Winn Adami, the Kai of Bajor. A search through Trek fandom usually reveals that fans see her as one of the worst characters, or most annoying, or most hated in the series. Some fans acknowledge that being a villain, the designation of most hated, is not so bad, but many others hate her in the sense that they skip her episodes. I see this a lot in Trek fan circles. DS9 is good, but skip the Bajor episodes and the Ferengi episodes. Hey, anyone who skips the magnificent Ferengi hates Star Trek. This is my hill, this is where I die. Over the course of 2 days, I marathoned all 14 Winn episodes, and my findings are as follows. Kai Winn is easily one of the best villains in all of Star Trek, perhaps second only to Dukat. My most heartfelt apologies to Q, more concept than man, a judge of humanity who serves as a counterpoint to the vision of a more enlightened Earth. With the exception of Deja Q, where Q becomes human, Q episodes are not really about Q. They're just a test of humanity. Anyway, Winn. Kai Winn. Let's talk about her. Popular discourse about Kai Winn casts her as a kind of entitled woman who demands to see the manager, but that is not an accurate representation of her character or her power levels. Kai Winn does not ask to see the manager. Kai Winn is the manager. She's ambitious. She wants power, she gets power, and she uses power. She will destroy you, but like emotionally. Part of the disdain for the character seems to be how she talks. Much of what Winn says throughout all 7 seasons of DS9 is insincere, in one way or another. Winn's speech patterns usually fit into one of 3 categories: condescension, passive aggression, and only occasionally direct aggression. Here's an example of her upper-level condescension game.
I feel your anger toward me, and I forgive you for it.
The subtext here is that Winn is better than the person to whom she is speaking, but there's enough plausible deniability for Winn to claim that she was being humble or sympathetic. I feel your anger for me and I forgive you for it indicates that the other interlocutor in this argument must be at fault. It's like saying, I'll pray for you, or bless your heart, if you live in the Midwest. Although simple condescension with plausible deniability brings Winn to the dance, passive aggression is where Winn claims the homecoming crown. In this scene, Major Kira and Vedic Boreal, who are becoming acquainted but have not yet become romantically involved, are confronted by Winn. After pretending that she doesn't remember Kira's name, which is just a classic power move, she says,
After working so hard, you deserve a little recreation.
Okay, so here, Winn is making it known that she thinks Boreal is interested in Kira and might use that knowledge to her advantage at a future date. It's a threat. Next, only seconds later, when Boreal tells Winn that Kira is in the garden for spiritual reasons, Winn says,
A worthy endeavor for someone who has led such a life of violence, child.
Really putting on the pressure. Kira fought in the Resistance, something that she correctly wears as a badge of honor. Winn is envious of this valor and wants to take it away from her by making it seem sinful instead of righteous. Then, Winn remarks that she knows Kira used one of the sacred orbs without permission from the Vedic Assembly, but the Assembly does not actually need to be consulted.
And I'm sure the Assembly would have had no objection to your encounter with an orb, had Vedic Boreal consulted us.
Winn knows Boreal and Kira used an orb without telling anyone, which is not against the rules but might be considered discourteous by the highly religious population if that information were revealed. Finally, Winn asks Kira how long she will be staying, and Winn responds,
Feel free to stay as many days as you like, even a week if necessary.
This is code for, you have 1 week to get out of this place or I will use my political influence and what I've learned here against you. My hat is bigger than your hat. Notice how she chooses to speak to both Boreal and Kira above them. What an absolute boss. Each devastating, passive-aggressive threat happens within seconds of each other, and all in the span of about half a minute. Winn maximizes her passive aggression and fits a lifetime worth of threats into one brief conversation. No wasted motion. She's like the Serena Williams of making you feel bad. Last but not least, Winn engages in direct aggression from time to time.
And Doctor, I won't forget what you've said here, but if you're wise, you will never speak to me with such disrespect again.
This is rare because Winn prefers to keep her feelings and motivations hidden, not to mention her D&D alignment, and that's what makes her unique. Winn is a villain, but she's also the spiritual leader of Bajor. Captain Sisko cares about the Bajoran people, so they have to spend a lot of time working together, whether they want to or not. Sometimes Sisko's interests and Winn's interests even align. Winn is a villain, but she also offers to officiate Captain Sisko's wedding. The relationship is complicated. Winn is envious of Sisko because he was chosen to be the emissary of the prophets, and that leaves her in his shadow, but she's never plotting to steal his baseball or whatever. That would have been a great episode, actually. Sisko's baseball goes missing, and it turns out Kai Winn was just being super petty. With the exception of Winn's first appearance, which involves a criminal conspiracy, she's usually working alongside the Starfleet officers and Bajoran militia, until her interests come into conflict with theirs. What makes Winn such a great character is that she's complicated. Her choice of words might make her insincere, and her ambition might make her arrogant, but there is some sincerity and humility within her. In the second season, when Winn is still a Vedic, she conspires with Minister Jaro to drive the Federation out of Bajoran space. In exchange for her cooperation, she will be made Kai. However, she was not aware of Jarro's connections with the Cardassians, and when this is revealed, she correctly turns on him. She gives up her conspiracy and her potential position as Kai because she's not that kind of traitor. Her ambition was not larger than her patriotism and her love of her people. Even in Season 7, she tells Gul Dukat,
I don't forgive war criminals.
Winn went through a lot during the occupation. In one episode, she reminds Kira that those who were caught preaching the word of the prophets were executed. Winn did this anyway despite the risks, because their faith helped the Bajoran people get through the occupation. In another episode, it's revealed that Winn tried to encourage the Bajoran clergy to resist further, bribing Cardassian officers to spare Bajorans. The implication is that Winn probably saved a lot of lives during the occupation. In the 7th season, Winn goes full-on villain mode, but the circumstances are unusual. She receives a vision from the entities that she initially believes are the prophets. Not long after, the entities reveal themselves to be the Pa-wraiths, basically the collective devil in the religion. Winn had no idea, but when she asks for forgiveness, the prophets refuse to engage with her through the orb. That's pretty cold actually, but okay. Winn goes to Kira for guidance, but when the former resistance fighter tells the Kai that she should step down and show humility, Winn just can't bring herself to do it. She worked really hard to be Kai, and it's just too hard to give up. She fails the test, initially. Winn is manipulated and entrapped into serving the Pa-wraiths, but she does eventually just go along with the plan because what else does she have now? What do you do when you have never intentionally done anything to offend your gods, but through the trickery of others, you forever cut yourself off from them? I might be giving her a little too much sympathy here. I mean, she does look into releasing the Pa-wraiths, and they were going to do some bad stuff, so... That being said, she does give Captain Sisko the key to defeating Gul Dukat, destroying the Book of the Kostamojan.
Emissary, the book!
The book was the key, wasn't it?
To a door that can never be opened again.
I guess that makes it even? I don't know. Kai Winn might be best understood as a tragic character who suffered too much trauma living through the occupation. She speaks of it often. Her ambition comes from insecurity, vulnerability, a desire to protect herself, qualities that are exacerbated by trauma. Dr. Bashir correctly calls her a coward, but her cowardice comes from somewhere. This does not make her actions justified, but they make her actions more understandable, more interesting. Kai Winn is a fascinating character, easily one of the best villains in all of Star Trek, and 10 times the character that Khan could ever dream to be. And now to read the comments section. Hi everybody. If you like what I do, make sure to subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell so that you never miss an episode. Also check out my Patreon link. See you soon.